So, Rockstar has finally released the pre-orders of GTA 6, and with those the price of the game, which is $80 for the standard edition and $100 for the ultimate edition. Rockstar needs to sell a lot of units of the game in order to make a profit or even break even. We know that the budget for GTA 6 is over 3 billion USD, and things like taxes and retailer cuts need to be considered. So, how many units of GTA 6 will Rockstar have to sell to break even? First, we'll have to know the budget of the game. I already made a video about this, but many people didn't agree with the results. So let's do the calculations again. First, we need to determine when the production of GTA 6 started, and like if they have been working on several projects at the same time. RDR2, their latest major title, was of course released in October 2018. Since then, they have released the Trilogy Definitive Edition, which was outsourced to Grove Street Games. They released the GTA 5 Expanded and Enhanced for next-gen consoles and PC, and they have ported RDR1 and Undead Nightmare to almost all of the modern consoles and mobile. GTA Online has been receiving updates constantly, however the quality of the DLCs decreased significantly after the release of the contract in December 2021, and Red Dead Online stopped receiving major updates in July of 2021, and in February 2022 Rockstar tweeted that GTA 6 is being made, and later they also announced that they are shifting efforts from GTA Online to GTA 6. So around this time is when Rockstar Games went fully on GTA 6 and let a small group to work on GTA Online, and they outsourced Definitive Edition and the RDR ports outside the company. Strauss-Zelnick also stated that the development started already in 2020, and based on the 2022 Teapot leaks, we know that the game was in a playable state in 2019, but it was still extremely buggy and had a lot of placeholder assets, so nowhere near finished. And the leaks showed the game in 2021 and 2022, and the game was in a relatively good state at that point. We also know that Rockstar began the initial scouting for the game, so looking at the real-life locations in Florida, in 2014, right after the release of GTA 5. And thanks to Lea Sokolovsky, the first person to leak GTA 6 twice, has told that Rockstar was scouting Miami again in 2019. So they probably started development right after or even before RDR2 came out. However, for convenience, let's start counting Rockstar's expenses from the start of fiscal year 2020, which began April 1st, 2019, about half a year after the release of RDR2. So let's just pretend Rockstar spent all of that time working on GTA Online and RDR Online. Then let's assume that up until April 1st, 2022, which is after the release of the Contract DLC, Rockstar was spending about 1/3 of their expenses on GTA Online, RDO, and other projects. And then after April 2020, we can assume that they are spending only about 10% on anything else other than GTA 6. As from the back-end code of some of the GTA Online updates, we can see that about 5 to 20 people have worked on them, which is very little compared to Rockstar's total employee amount, which is currently at about 5,000. These 10% and 30% numbers are probably overestimations, but just to be sure that we don't estimate the budget to be too high, we are gonna go with them. So, as we found out in my previous video, Rockstar Games has to file their full accounts for every fiscal year to the UK government. And in them, Rockstar shows how much money they use on staff, how much they pay rent for the offices, and like how much money they spend in general for random stuff. They also detail the loss of value for their assets. However, I'm not including those, as I'm gonna include the spending on assets. And Rockstar is conveniently for us doing some very clever tax planning by paying all of their global wages through the UK, as the UK has this thing called video game tax relief. So basically, they get to pay less taxes on salaries. So the number I'm going to figure out next should be pretty close to all Rockstar Games global expenses. Of course, this could exclude some expenses outside the UK, like overhead costs or renting offices. So the total salaries and overhead costs from April 1st, 2019 to the release of the game, with the last 1.5 years estimated, as we haven't gotten those numbers yet, comes to about 2.7 billion pounds. And then, if we reduce the amount we estimated that goes to other projects than GTA 6 over the years, we get the number of 2.2 billion pounds. This 2.2 billion number is a low estimate and is still in pounds and not dollars. And then, in addition, we have the other costs, which in total are about 100 million pounds, and when adjusted for GTA 6, about 80 million pounds. And when we add salaries and the other costs together, we get slightly under 2.3 billion. billion pounds. So that's an absolute minimum estimate for what the GTA budget is. Again, this might be missing a lot of expenses, marketing costs, and of course this number is in pounds and not dollars. And it does not count for inflation, which I'm not gonna calculate here. Then that 2.3 billion pounds with an extremely conservative exchange rate of 1.2, we come to 2.75 billion US dollars. And with a very conservative marketing budget of 200 to 300 million dollars, we come to a nice round number of 3 billion. This is the absolute minimum money Rockstar has spent on GTA 6. It could very well be higher, and based on some of my estimations, it could be up to 5 billion dollars. But let's just use 3 billion for the sake of it in this video. So that's our first piece of the puzzle. Then, how much money does Rockstar make per unit sold? So, we need to consider how many people are gonna buy the Ultimate Edition of the game, and how much the game will be sold in different regions. As for example, people from the EU pay for more the game, but the prices also have the value-added tax included, which decreases the amount of money Rockstar gets. So, how many people will buy the Ultimate Edition compared to the Standard Edition? The industry average is that about 10% of people buy the more expensive Ultimate Edition. However, GTA 6 seems to be different, as at least among GTA fans, based on some polls I have seen, people are actually way more likely to buy the Ultimate Edition of the game. So, as the game is popular, let's assume that 1/4 of the people who buy the game buy the Ultimate Edition. Honestly, this number could even be like 50%, or even close to the numbers in the polls. However, let's just go with 1/4. Then, how much money will Rockstar make for each GTA 6 Standard Edition on average globally? So, we want a single number for how much money Rockstar makes per sale. And for now, for a moment, we ignore the Ultimate Edition pricing and calculate every sale as a Standard Edition sale. There are two big problems with determining this number. Firstly, regional pricing. We already know how much GTA 6 will cost in all sale countries, and these, for some reason that I do not know, are different in many of the countries. For example, in India, Japan and South Korea, the game costs around $60. In US, it of course costs $80, and in most of the European countries, the game costs over $90. So we need to somehow regionally weigh the prices to get an average. Then another problem, which is also related to regions, is value-added tax, which varies from 0% all the way up to 27%. So, two regional problems. And surprise, surprise, Rockstar hasn't officially given out any information about any regional sales data. However, thanks to Shiny Hunters leaking some data from Rockstar Games about their shark card sales, we can try to estimate how many units Rockstar might sell per country. Of course, these are shark card numbers and GTA Plus numbers, so some regions might be more likely to buy these, while other regions just buy the game but don't buy any shark cards. But these are the best numbers that we have. So after some spreadsheet magic, we can find out how much money Rockstar has made per each region. And the regions are EMEA, Europe, Middle East, Africa, Asia, Central/South America, Oceania, Russia and previous Soviet Union countries, and North America. And as we know how much money Rockstar has made per region, we can calculate the total, which is 4.3 billion USD. So we know how Rockstar has been funding GTA 6. And from that information we can determine percentages for each region. And to me, most surprising is how high North America is. Then I need to estimate an average price for each region, using the prices in this image and considering some of these populations. I came up with the regional prices of EMEA, $90, Asia, $69, Central and South America, $87 USD, Oceania, same $87 USD, and then Russia and all Soviet countries, which in this list is just Ukraine, and North America, $80, even though yes, I know Canada exists too, but let's just use the US number. Then we need regional value-added tax multipliers. For EMEA, I used 20% tax, Central and South America, 10% tax, Oceania 10%, Ukraine 20%, and North America 1%, as there's no VAT in United States, and Canada has a VAT of about 10% depending on the region. And hey, we have all the values we need to determine an average global sale price before tax, and it's $76.3 US. And as I said, these regional ratios are based on in-app purchases, and we are gonna make the assumption that the regions where the game is cheaper are going to make less in-game purchases. So let's just decrease this number for the sake and convenience of it to 75 USD. And that's if people only bought the standard edition of the game. Then we add the assumption that 1/4 of the people who buy the game are going to buy the Ultimate Edition. The Ultimate Edition is 25% more expensive in all regions, so we just divide 25 by 4 and we get an increase of 6.25%. If half of the people bought the Ultimate Edition, this number would be 12.5%. So 75 times 1.0625 is 79.6875. And I could round that up to 80, as we already rounded down almost $2. But I'm just gonna keep that number as is. And if half of the people for some reason bought the Ultimate Edition, the average price before tax would be slightly over $84. So that's it. We have our number of bit under $80 and we just divide the budget with that. No. There's still one crucial thing missing, which is platform fees. So Xbox, PlayStation, and local retailers take 30% of each sale of the game. So we just multiply the $79.6875 with 0.7. So globally on average, per each sale of the game, Rockstar Games gets $55.78. And if half of the people bought the Ultimate Edition, that number would be $59.06. So we finally get to figure out how many units Rockstar is to sell. So 3 billion divided by 55.78, we get 53,781,000 copies. So almost 54 million copies. And if by some miracle half of the people bought the Ultimate Edition, Rockstar will need to sell about 51 million copies. And it is estimated that there are about 120 million to 130 million PS5s, Xbox Series X's and Xbox Series S's sold. So if about half of those consoles get GTA 5 at full price, Rockstar is getting their money back. GTA 5 has sold over 200 copies during its lifetime, but not at full price. But this GTA 6 number still seems possible. And of course, game sales are not Rockstar's only source of income. Of course, they sell shark cards, as they are currently making over 300 million USD annually on a 13-year-old game, purely from shark cards. 1.7 billion since 2018 and 4.3 billion since 2014. And if I had to guess, these numbers are going to be even bigger in GTA 6. Then of course they have GTA Plus, which in May had 900,000 subscribers, and that makes them over 100 million USD each year. And that number is probably going to increase a lot, of course, because GTA 6 is coming out. People are going to buy the GTA Plus. And there has been rumors that you will be able to play GTA 6 online without PlayStation Plus if you own GTA Plus. So if someone only plays games from Rockstar Games on PlayStation, they may be more likely to opt for GTA Plus than PlayStation Plus. And if they increase the subscriber amount to like 500,000, then they would be making over 500 million USD every single year. So they have opportunities to make a lot of money. And of course there's the possibility of cosmetic packs for single player and online. For example, the Vintage Collection. Based on this description, the collection should still be available for purchase even after the pre-order period. And they might do more packs like this to get more money. So they probably don't need to sell 54 million copies to break even, and it's something more like 30 million copies, maybe even less. And as a disclaimer, I am not an accountant, I'm just a mathematician. These numbers could be completely wrong, so please correct me in the comments. Thank you for watching. Please share the information in this video to your friends and like the video so that more people see it. And of course subscribe. I just got 16k subscribers and we are close to the goal of 20,000 subscribers, so let's get there as soon as possible. Thank you.